Myself, Prabhat Kumar, with Unit 1st of Chapter 1st, Political Science for Class 10, Democratic Politics. And this chapter is power sharing. You must have a vivid memory about such incidents that must happened with you in past. Your mother might have told you to distribute the sweet that was brought by some guest among all the siblings or all the members of the family. Have you ever thought about it? Why she said so? Because she want, she want to distribute the sweetness among all the members in the family. In this way, she want to give the benefit to all and satisfy the all. Similarly, for a good democracy, power does not rest with any one organ of the government. An intelligent sharing of power among legislature, executive and judiciary is very important to design of a democracy. To survive a democracy, there is a need of power sharing. And we will going to discuss all these things in this video, why there is need of power sharing. If we say we will discuss the two different stories, and through we will see what will be the approach to distribute the power among the different stakeholders of the country. First one is story of Belgium. Belgium is a country, European country, Belgium is a European country, and this is the Eastern Europe, where you will find Belgium. You can see through this map, you can locate Belgium there. It is written over there, Belgium. This is the map of Belgium, and Belgium boundary lies with here. You can see the Belgium boundary lies with Germany, Netherlands. This is Germany. This is France. And this is Netherlands. So there is three regions. You can divide the Belgium into three regions. One is the yellow part, that is Flemish region, and mostly the people from this region speak Dutch language, because it is very near to Netherlands. And the red part that you are seeing in the video is Wallonia region. Mostly the people resides there speak French language, and in pink language, pink color, this is Brussels, the capital city of Belgium, and there is a red and blue line that is part of Germany. Means prominently, if you see, the main speakers of Belgium are Dutch speakers and French speakers. Only 1% speaks German language. So, what happened there? Belgium. If you see the demographic representation of this country, you can see the capital of the Belgium is Brussels and population is 1.15 crore. It is around half of the population of Haryana, one smaller state of India, and the currency is euro. Belgium is a country in Western Europe, and it is a very unique thing that it is the headquarter of the European Union and NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. The two prominent institutions has their headquarter, the European Union and NATO, at Brussels in Belgium. The speaker configuration is like that. 59% of the total population of the country speaks Dutch language, and they live in Flemish region, Flanders to the northern part of the Belgium. And French speakers, 40% of total population of the country are French speakers, and they live in Wallonia region, that is the southern part of the Belgium. And a German speaking, that is mostly eastern part. If you just seen the map of Belgium, 1%. In the capital city, Brussels, 80% people speak French. But in whole country, only 40% speaks that language. And 20% are Dutch speakers in Brussels. Whether in the country whole, around 59 or 60% speaks Dutch language. Why it is so? Have you thought about it? Due to this, there is rivalry, there is conflict started, there some unsatisfaction arose among French speakers and Dutch speakers. Similarly, sometimes here in India, such conflicts or such unsatisfactory remarks are coming from the different parts of the country, because our country has many languages. Many scheduled languages as well as many regional languages, many variations, many dialects are there. So there are sometimes for recognizing of some languages as official language, and some will not get the prominency or not come in the list of scheduled language, create some unsatisfactory things in the mind of some regions or some speakers. So what is the conflict real in here in Belgium? You can see. Just you have gone through this. The minority, French speaking community, relatively rich and powerful. They are minority in terms of population, because for only 40% speaks French. So as a whole country, they are minority in terms of population, but they are relatively rich and powerful. Majority, the 60%, around 59%, are Dutch speakers. They are relatively poor and less powerful. But there is some contrast in the capital. It is a special or unique problem that faced by the Brussels. What is the problem? Here, Dutch speakers are minority or majority are French speaker in capital. Capital is the most prominent place among all the cities of a country. So all the bureaucrats, all the head offices, all the institutions headquarters lie on capital city. All the influential, all the industrialists, all the head of administrators live there. So in Belgium also around 80% speakers are French language in Brussels. So it created a feeling of hatred, jealousy, or conflict among the two different speakers community. During 1950 or 1960, what happened between them? They started to fight. They started to create problem. But a unique solution they devise to solve the conflicting situation, to stop the civil war, to create a harmony among them. So what the formula of accommodation? They recognize the existence of regional differences and cultural diversity. No one start to dominate on others, but they recognized the culture, the art, the regional differences that exist in Belgium. In India, we are saying that unity in diversity because we recognize, we respect all the culture, all the traditions, all the religion, all the regions of our country. So India is unique. So that uniqueness is also adopted by the Belgium in practical form. So what happened? Between 1970 and 1993, they amended the constitution 4 times so as to work out the arrangements. They devised, they modified, they changed the constitution to accommodate the problems or conflicting situations and to resolve the problem that arose due to that situation. So that would enable everyone to live together within the same country with coexistence, with the cooperation, with the coordination, with the minimizal of conflict, to minimize conflict and to live in a harmonious way without any conflict. So for that, the Belgium model is a unique model that arose at that time. Constitution prescribed that number of Dutch and French speaking ministers shall be equal in the central government. In the central government, the number of French speakers as well as Dutch speaker will be same, equal number. Even though their population ratios is different, but the number of ministers will be equal from both the community. Some special laws require the support the majority of members from each linguistic group. Means if they want to amend anything, they want to include a new thing or what to new policy, for that they need the help of majority of members of each linguistic group. So none of the group will create anything that disrespect the other community or other linguistic group. And what happened next? Many powers of the central government have been given to state government of the two regions of the country. They started to decentralize the power and they gave that power to the state government, the provincial governments. And one thing is unique, that state governments are not subordinate to the central government. They have their own powers to deal with or to run their own states. And one unique thing that also started by the Belgian model, that Brussels has a separate government in which both the communities have equal representation. Next one, the French-speaking people are accepted equal representation in Brussels because the community has accepted equal representation in the central government. Means here, French speakers are more, they are in majority in capital. So they accommodated that provision, that equal presentation of Dutch community as well as Dutch accepted in central government. Apart from the central and state government, a third kind of government, you can say the municipality or like panchayat in India, they devise the third form of government, community government, local self-government. This community government is elected by the people belonging to one language community. Dutch will elect Dutch, French will elect German, or German speaking will select German speaking. No matter where they live, the government has the power regarding culture, educational, and language related. They have their separate jurisdictions related to culture, educational, and language related terms. Now, come to Sri Lanka, our neighbor. In southern part, if you go there, Kanyakumari, and you cross the Park Street, you will find a small country, that is Sri Lanka. Our map is never without Sri Lanka. If you see, there is a southern part of one small country you can see there. What happened in Sri Lanka? Sri Lanka, officially known as Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, is an island. From all the four sides, they are confined within water bodies. So it is an island in South Asia, located in Indian Ocean, southwest of Bay of Bengal and southeast of Arabian Sea. And it is separated from India by the Gulf of Mannar or the Park Strait. The capital city is Colombo and currency of Sri Lankan rupees, and population is around 2.17 crore. That is data of World Bank, that is provided by World Bank. And you can see the name of the president. Rajapaksa is the president right now. So this is Sri Lanka. You can see this is the northern part, eastern part, southern part, and western part of this country, Sri Lanka. Now see the ethnic community of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has more four communities: Sinhalese, Sri Lankan Tamil, Indian Tamil, and Muslim, and some Christians. Majoritism is a concept when a major population, highest population of a country start to dominate and propagate their own agenda only, then it converts into majoritarianism. So what happened with Sri Lanka? If you see Sri Lanka, the ethnic configuration, in Sri Lanka 74% are Sinhalas, 18% are Tamil, and 8% are other communities like Muslim and Christians and other communities. If You see next diagram. There are 13% are Sri Lankan Tamil and 5% are Indian Tamils that went there as a farm laborers or workers from India, mostly from the Tamil Nadu state. Most of the Sri Lanka Tamils are concentrated in the northern and eastern part of the country. If you go back, you can see this is the east northern Jaffna, Trincomalee, Betty These regions are the northern and eastern regions, and mostly Sri Lankan Tamils and Indian Tamils resides there. Colombo is in the southern and western side. So, what happened? Sri Lanka Tamils are concentrated in northern and eastern part of the country. Most of the Sinhala speaking people are Buddhist. Most of the Sinhala people are Buddhist. And the most of the Tamils are Hindu or Muslims. There are about 7% Christians who are both Tamil and Sinhalas. Now see the situation, strategy of Sri Lanka to tackle the conflicting situation, the dissatisfaction that arose among the different community in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka emerged as an independent country in 1948. And the leader of Sinhala community sought the secure dominance of a government by virtue of their majority. They start to work for dominancy. They initiated such policies by which they can dominate the population, larger population. As a result, they started to devise new strategy by which they can establish their majoritarian government or supremacy of the Sinhala community. In 1956, they passed an act recognizing Sinhala as a national language or official language. And if a country recognizes any language as a national language or official language, and only one language is considered as official language, it had the sentiment of other community. And that happened with the Tamil people also there. The government followed preferential policies that favor Sinhala's applicants for university position in government jobs, and Tamil language speakers are subsided. That create a dissatisfaction. They create a feeling of jealousy, feeling of hatred among Tamil people. Because their language, their culture, their tradition are subsided by the majority Sinhala community. And what happened then? A new constitution stipulated that the states shall protect and foster Buddhism. So it is also a setback for their religion also. Then what happened? You can see all these government measures coming one after one gradually increase the feeling of alienation among Sri Lankan Tamils or Indian Tamils. A feeling arose among them. The major political party led by the Buddhist Sinhala leaders was not sensitive to their language and culture or tradition of Tamil. They felt that the constitution and government policies denied them equal rights, discriminated against them, and not providing the equal opportunity to getting job or education. They ignored their rights. And it results come out as a strained relation among these two communities. You can imagine if such situation will arise, what will happen? What will be their repercussions and what will be the result and outcome? Dissatisfaction triggered the Sri Lankan Tamils launched different parties, different organizations for establishing to recognizing Tamil as an official language. And they start to raise their regional autonomy and equal opportunity in securing education and job. In our country also, at some countryside from eastern region and some parts of the Punjab, some parts of the Jammu Kashmir, such dissatisfaction arises. If we make feel others as an alien to this our mainland, then it will happen. So we have to respect others. We have to respect all the persons that are residing in our country. They do not belong to other country. They are our own brothers and sisters. And whole the country is for everyone. They have same rights as we have. Even they're residing in northern part or southern part or eastern or northeastern part or any state. Everyone has equal rights as a citizen to this country. But that not happened with Sri Lanka. Their demand for autonomy populated by Tamil was repeatedly denied. By 1980, several political organizations were formed, and very famous name, that is Prabhakaran at that time, become their hero. And they started to raise demand for independent Tamil alum. Alum means state. Litte, that is Tamil Tagore of Tamil alum. And they start to raise their sounds. They started to fight guerrilla war. This distrust between these communities turned into widespread conflict. It soon has turned into civil war and result thousands of people lost their home. They become homeless. Many were killed in civil war. They become refugee. They lost their near and dear. War is not the solution. Peace is the only solution. So we must have to abandon this concept in our mind. As a child, you must have to think over that. What will be the ways to avoid conflict and to live in harmony? This is the main thing. If we read the social science, it must come in our mind. How can we live with adjustment and adaptation? Give equal space to other community and other person. Then we can actually practice whatever we are reading through different sessions, through different books. You have to think critically about these things. What will be the solution when there is a fight, there is a conflict, there is a civil war, there is a disrespect and distrust among the different communities? We have to think over, ponder over, and we have to provide the solutions. That solution that was given by Belgium, but that is not the situation in Sri Lanka. And what will be the result? You can see through these pictures. It ended in 2009. The civil war has caused terrible setback to the social, cultural, and economic life of the country. around it is 11 years now. They suppressed, they exploited the Tamilians, but they are now in peaceful situation. But there were many who sacrificed, killed, lost their home, lost their origin, lost their father and mother and others. So we have to think, what will be the way by which we give to share to other people. Now come to the point, the main agenda. Why power sharing is desirable among all the stakeholders. Why power sharing is desirable? There are two reasons. Prudential reason. Prudential reason is avoid conflict. Majority cannot rule over minority. And good ways to ensure political stability. And moral reasons are it is of spirit of democracy, equality, legitimate government. In a broader view, we can see sharing creates unity among all the stakeholders. It creates a love and affection and belongingness for their motherland. That creates an attachment. They want to start to sacrifice for motherland, for their nation. If we make them as a part of this country, when we take account of their voices into our public policy formulation, it boosts up the self-esteem. They feel that they are worthy, and automatically it will reduce the conflict. And other reason, that is, it creates a participative approach for viable democracy. For live democracy, there is a need of participation of all the communities, all the voices, all the dissent should be listened properly, and their problems should be solved. And that is the pure spirit of democracy. If we want to see the viable, to live or very good democratic setup, then there is a need of sharing. And it gives equal opportunity to all. And that's why, if everyone is happy, everyone is feeling that they are the part of the government, they are not alienated, they are not denied or ignored by the government, they are part and parcel of that particular government, it will create political stability. And if there is a political stability, there will be the economic development, there will be the development of good governance, there is the development of social institutions, and automatically the country will develop. So there are two forms of power. Earlier, when there was no democracy, there is monarchy, oligarchy, and different other forms of governance were there. At that time, they think that there is a need of centralization of power. If we hold the power at center, then we can run our country in a better way. Sometimes you must have heard about the historical why after Aurangzeb, the Mughal emperor, come to ruin. And one reason is provided for that is, after Aurangzeb, the power, that is centralized power, loosen by them. They are not able to hold the power, and other regional kingship started to grow. But this notion has changed when democracy come, as a means of governance. And what happened now? That is, after notion had changed. Now, dispersal form of governance, that decentralization come into effect. One basic principle of democracy is that people are the source of all political power. In a democracy, people rule themselves through institution of self-government. And a democratic government give respect to all the diverse views and groups. They have to listen the public policies. They has a voice in the public policy, in the formulation of the governance or act. Then we have a good governance, a good democracy. Now we going to discuss about three branches of the government. And this distribution is known as horizontal distribution of power. If I say horizontal, means everyone are at equal rights and duties. They have check and balance for each other. And what are these three branches? That is known as horizontal distribution of power. There is no hierarchy. Everyone is at equal level. One is legislature. And legislature has main thing to do is to formulate laws, policies. And parliament in the center is a whole soul responsibility for this. Means President, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And at state, the Legislative Assembly, Legislative Council and the Governor. They legitimate laws. They create laws and policies for the development of country. Next one is executive. They start to implement the formulations or acts or policies or plans that is formulated by legislator in a practical form. President, Prime Minister and ministers, group of ministers. It may be cabinet minister, state minister, independent chair. There are two forms of executive, permanent executives that come through examination system. They are permanently, they are recruited, they work for 60 to 65 years. And one other is political executive, like prime minister and ministers. They are elected for 5 years, and then after another 5 years, another political executive comes in power and they run the country. That's executive. And third one is judiciary. Our Supreme Court, High Courts and other subordinate courts come under this. And they have to see the legalities of the amendments or the constitutional modifications and rules and regulations are per our constitution or not. They are interpreters of laws. They solve the problems between conflict between center and state, within state and state, state and people. They give advice to our president or our executives at per the need. So these are the horizontal distribution of powers: legislature, executive and judicial. Now come into vertical distribution of power. That is hierarchical distribution. At center there is union government, central government, and subordinate to that is state government. We cannot say subordinate, but in a federal system, the state is subordinate, and then the local self-government, that is municipality and panchayat. Their jurisdiction, their powers are enumerated in our constitution. They are already declared the list of works that are assigned to them. Union or central government works on the central list, and a state government work on state list. And there is concurrent list, that is for both the state and union government. As per the requirement, they amend the laws or create laws or policies related to that. And for the local, the new policy, a new level is started, that is municipality and panchayat in rural or in cities. Now, another form of distribution of power among all the stakeholders, that is reservation in government job. A large sections are very much behind in the social or economic development. So our government, our policy makers started or devised a new ways by which we can include them in the mainstream, that is by giving special rights, that is reservation in government job. You can see there how much reservation is assigned to which group: ST 7.5, SC 15%, OBC 27%, EWS economically weaker section 10%, and total 59.50% is right now the reservation given to them. This is also a policy matter. Is it good or bad? We can discuss over it, or why it should be, and why which are the ways by which we can reform this reservation policy. In the coming classes, you will discuss on these topics also. That is representation in Lok Sabha. There is 545 members. 2 Anglo-Indians are appointed by president. If there is ample representation of this community are not there in Lok Sabha, means we started to include such sections also in our policy makers or in our power. And 84% seats are reserved for SC community, and 47% is 47 seats are allotted for ST community, because this community has a lack of power or social suffered with the social deprivation. So we start to empower them. They want to include their voices in policy making, and so we have given reservation in Lok Sabha. This is the chart. You can see which state has how many SC or ST seats. In local self-government and panchayat, there is a reservation, 33% reservation. And different state has a different percentage given to women. In Bihar or in Madhya Pradesh, it is around 45%. But there is no reservation for women, for female in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha or any state assembly. Only in local self-governance, in municipality or panchayat, it is mandatory to give 33% reservation to women. This is the way by which include their voices also in, and we are sharing our powers. Through different mechanisms we devise by which we can give them stakes in our governance. That National Commission for Women of India, National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights, because child does not have power or they are not mature to raise their voices. So we devise a new mechanism by which we can include their voices, their grievances through National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. National Commission for Backward Classes, National Commission for Minorities, National Human Rights Commission, to raise the things that is against the human rights. They demand for their appraisal. They demand for see the plight of the such classes who are voiceless. And there are so many pressure groups, but they come in power through their pressure politics. We will discuss these pressure groups in the next few chapters. Now you can see there are some industrial groups like FICCI, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Confederation of Indian Industry. They, through their pressure groups, the different NGOs give pressure to our executive or legislature. And in this way, they also come in power. We share the power with them also. These are the influence in industry, Azim Premji, Kiran Majumdar, or Mukesh Ambani, or Godrej, or Ratan Tata, or Aditya Birla, and Adani, and other persons, Indra Nui, and many are industrialists. Also are the part of our system. We have to understand it because they are influential. They have money power. So they influence the government to formulate the policies according to need of them. Because they are our backbones. Through economic development, they spread the economic prosperity to our population. So they are also the part. Different political parties, through their parties, their policies, by their raising their voices against the government policies, like different Narmada Bachao Andolan, Anna Andolan, that is against the. So all these are the stakeholders, and these are the ways by which they become a part and parcel of our government policies, and we share our powers with them. So at last, let us share. Sharing is caring. And in this situation of coronavirus, we should have to share. We will have to think that not I, we. We have to take responsibility of others or our community. Then we can survive. Otherwise, it is not possible to survive. So thank you very much. धन्यवाद.